Correct me if I'm wrong, but I see a lot of videos about top 5, top 10, top 7 tarot or oracle decks or other systems as well. But do we ever talk about that one special deck that's our favorite? Top 1. Ah, synchronicity. I've been wanting to do a video all about my Trionfi Della Luna, but then when I filmed it, I didn't like it. And then Simon from the Hermit's Cave did this throwback last Thursday about this deck. He showed this deck, although he did mostly show the regular edition, the regular version. And then I saw a few posts by different people asking what deck is their favorite. So I'm doing this anyway, talking about my love for the Trionfi, why I love it so much, and asking you too, what's your favorite deck and why? So of course, talking about all decks that you use for divination or self-development, and all of those different systems are included. I am talking about the love that never dies, the one deck that does it for me. For this, I've chosen my Trionfi Della Luna Paradoxical, which pretty much shares first place with my Rider-Waite-Smith Centennial, but I do see this one as more rare, simply because it's an independently published deck. Plus, not everyone may know about it. I will probably just point out a lot of teeny tiny symbolism that for me adds to the meaning of the cards. So this really is a much loved tarot deck. Before I begin, I want to thank Patrick Valenza because that man made my favorite deck. Thanks, man. I saw pictures of this deck online when it came out. I think it started with Instagram, and I was hesitant for like a week because the deck is in Marseille, and at the time I was only familiar with Rider-Waite-Smith and Wildwood, those kinds of decks. But I couldn't deny that pull that I felt towards it, and finally ended up purchasing it. Now I have this copy and a backup because I want to ensure in a way that this deck won't leave my side. I love the black backgrounds, which you don't see very often, especially Marseille, which I now know is beautiful. Usually has very simple colors and white or light backgrounds, so this version, the paradoxical one, really sets the mood, and I feel like I'm walking around in the underworld when I'm working with this deck. In an underworld where everyone is friendly, because I'm one of them, and I recognize myself in the creatures in this deck. In my Council of Seven video, I called this deck my evil twin, which is the perfect description for this deck, I think. I also called it the Revealer, because it brings out in me that knowledge that there's always something going on underneath the surface. That at first nothing is truly what it seems. That's why you're probably overhearing this all the time, but I really like this deck for shadow work. Although I must admit, I think I can do meaningful shadow work with any of my decks, but yeah, this is my favorite. When I just got it, it obviously became a tool to learn the Marseille system, and I got really into numerology, and now the pips carry a kind of energy in themselves that triggers the symbolic meaning of the individual card. And I love that that happened because I'm half French, and this type of tarot reading is a part of my heritage, you could say. And I'm happy that I got into it and understand it now and love it now. Although there are a few cards that I don't love. Let me look it up for you. Okay, I got it. For instance, this Queen of Coins is just a minor detail, really, but the Queen of Coins. So I like to believe that she feeds her cats this piece of meat and isn't eating it herself because I'm a vegetarian. Well, actually, I'm a pescatarian. And yeah, I'm just a little sad seeing this Queen of Wands, Queen of Pentacles not sharing my values, you know? I can't see it as a part of a little story in this card, I guess. Or maybe she realizes she should feed her cats who look hungry. She needs to give them the food that they need, because cats need meat, right? Anyway, I don't see this tarot deck as a beginner's deck because of the Marseille system, but also because the archetypes of the majors are artistically altered quite a bit. And I feel right at home in between these little monsters, but a beginner may read a little too much into it. So I think it's best to learn with Rider-Waite-Smith or a regular Marseille or something like that. But if you're not a beginner and want to get this deck, I say do it. And do path working with these cards. It could very well blow your mind. When I got it, I immediately made a box for it. I know it's secure in there because I do take this one with me quite a lot. I made this little velvet inside. I put the moon right there, and I copied and drew a picture of the moon, and it's blue. Yeah. Yeah, I think I will take it with me to France when I go there for the holidays, and maybe some family members will ask me to read for them again. That's really fun. It is a challenge, though, for me to do tarot readings in French, even though I'm fluent in French, but, you know, tarot language is different and challenging, so I'm searching my words a lot. But yeah, it's fun when they participate like that. I have read for clients with this deck as well, but never in a shop. Always in readings that I do through Skype. Okay, let me show you some little details that I find in the artwork that I like. All right. For instance, this King of Coins has a little doll in his hands, and I like to think he made that doll, and it's his little puppet of himself, and he just did some kind of self-love spell or money spell or some type of abundance spell, and he's feeling really good, and that's why he's having the best day. I chose this devil in the deck. I like this one because he has serpents in his hand. In the Western world, we see snakes as evil and dark, and really relate to the poison, relate them to poison. On the other part of the planet, we really see them as healing. So the fact that he's holding snakes and that they represent these two sides is just really interesting to me. I remember someone saying Jack and the Beanstalk in Hermit's Cave live chat. This is a little Marseille quirky thing. I always thought this is the 4, that's the stability, and this is the 3. that's the growth. But I didn't get in Marseille, my Marseille studies, why the 3 was pointing downwards, like an arrow pointing downwards. Like, shouldn't it be growth up? And then I realized, I had to actually read that in a book. I realized that these in the corners, 4 corners, are the 4 coins, as in the stability, and this in the middle makes a triangle pointing upwards. So there's your 7. Just a funny little thing. I got this card a lot around the last blood moon we had. She may become a tattoo on me one day. I like this with the blood. Because you see, the 8 of Swords doesn't need to be negative at all. But those drops look like blood. And I think kind of, yeah, they do remind me of the more shadowy side of that card by the Rider-Waite-Smith. That card was part of my reading today, yesterday, as was this one, the 4 of Swords. I love this one because it looks like a dome with, you know, the magical rose cut in there. So you can think of Belle and the Beast, or Beauty and the Beast, or the Little Prince. He also has a rose trapped. And it makes you think, you know, the 4 swords, what that means with that. This was the last card of my 3-card split for yesterday. 8 of Cups. I like how the guy, little face in the middle is a little board. Willy Wonka. Absolutely Willy Wonka, isn't it? Stepping out of his factory, chocolate factory. So this is obviously Gene Wilder. And he's about to do that flip. Just a little detail that I noticed, these look like flesh-eating plants, but they both have that little drop. And for some reason, every time I think, a drop of acid. I don't often see a hanged man with a snake, because he looks like he's in a cocoon, but the snake reminds me of Apep. So that is really cool. Definitely not a traditional lover's card. Or at least I don't know it like this. But it's nice, it's sweet. This Ace of Swords really shows the cutting through things. I think the dam broke, and he's trying to fix his damage by drinking all the water. But it's never gonna work. I've switched yesterday to this Tower card, which is actually the Lightning. I love this card, and I think it's time for me to work with it. Because what a disaster to see a beautiful tree struck by lightning, right? I love that for some reason this Wheel of Fortune is set in the desert. For some reason, mermaids or sirens, same thing in my mind, remind me of not going to look for love, but actually just bringing it towards me. Is that weird? I love this Magician card because he has 3 legs of the table and 3 of his own legs. So there's something weird going on there for sure. Queen of Wands. She wants to make sure that everyone is feeling good. Even the ghosts. in this case. Alright, look at this badass high priestess. She's standing on top of a pile of books, and behind her is a lot of fire. Makes me think, after you've read the books, burn them. It's like going from theory to practice. I always think of Black Sabbath when I see this card, and that's because of the bat wings kind of thing. Yeah. Her cup is huge, which really emphasizes for me her receptiveness. And of course, after having received all of this information, she's gonna go home and analyze all of those feelings. I like that banner because it looks like a forked tongue or something like that that has been cut. I like those thorns, those claw-like thorns. That helps you think of holding the grip about the Nine of Wands. Now, the King of Cups may be really happy that the dam broke, because now you actually have to face all of your feelings. Funny little Marseille thing with the Eight of Pentacles. Looks like a ladder. This is a card that I didn't get in the beginning. Because he's a knight, he's supposed to be the messenger, he's supposed to take the element out of wherever it is, take the element further on a quest. And this guy's so... but kind of looks like he's just taking his time before the action. That's kind of what I made of it. And a reminder that Earth is the slowest moving suit, I guess. Four of Wands I like to see as creative freedom. And I can really see that. They start to look like paintbrushes. Looks like a birdhouse. Another fun Marseille thing, when you turn the Two of Swords this way, it looks like an eye. Fun. I always think of a trophy cabinet whenever I see the Nine of Cups in a Marseille. Here the face in the middle looks a little dissatisfied and bored, but at the same time he has his wings spread out, which always reminds me of a certain type of safety. Just so triumphant. Doesn't it look like victory on its own, this card? I don't know. Am I starting to see things? Love the ravens in the back, or the crows, or birds. And I like also that you can really see the rebirth. And some sort of a hummingbird? Is that a hummingbird? Oh, I was so happy when I saw this temperance. Temperance with an elephant in the background. Absolutely. Elephants were my favorite animal as a kid. Don't these huge thorns really show conflict? There's of course more to this card, but right? I have the four different cards right here. I love this star as well, but decided to keep the other one in. The Tower. Judgment and the other Devil. There are also 10 Oracle cards that come when you buy this deck, which are great. One of them is on my altar. Here is some footage from my phone. showing you the deck in Blacklight. It's really quite magical. Look at that. Wow. You know, when you go like that, ooh, yes. Now, this is made this way purposefully. He used Blacklight paint. Look at that. Don't use this often, but I do have that Blacklight fixed to my wall purely for this deck. Only one reason. This deck. Really, really sets the mood this way. You see that? Wow. It starts to look 3D. Haha. Okay. And that's it. Hope you respond with a video all about your favorite deck. I might make it a hashtag. It can be tarot, oracle, Lenormand, keeper, playing cards, etc., etc. As long as it's your favorite.